Hi everyone, I'm Shannon and welcome to today's video. So today we are talking about whether or not we're still going on our cruise. If you followed me at all, you know I've been talking about we have 3 cruises planned for the beginning of 2022. One in January, one in March, and one in June. Our January one is coming up and well, we're going to talk about whether or not we're still going to go. So a few days ago on December 30th, the CDC raised the warning level for cruises and basically put out the warning that they advise against all cruise travel, whether or not you are vaccinated. So question is, are we still going to go on our cruise? Easy answer is absolutely. We are still going. Now, I would say it wasn't a hard decision for us, but there are some factors that I would say are reasonable as far as maybe, canceling. So I wanted to kind of go through some of the things that may be good reasons of why you want to cancel right now, and maybe some things that I think are kind of the CDC and maybe the media are targeting the cruise industry, but not other things. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video. So first up, one of the reasons why I think the CDC is targeting the cruise industry is because they singled it out, but they haven't really talked about anything else. Concerts, Disney, theme parks, anything else that, people congregate at. And while yes, being on a cruise ship is probably more risky than staying at your house. However, if you are thinking about canceling your cruise and thinking, okay, well, we're going to cancel our cruise, but we're going to go to Disney World, we're going to go to Universal instead. Personally, as someone who has done a cruise in post-pandemic and someone who has gone to all the theme parks, I definitely feel more safer on the cruise ship. Yes, you're with the same people over and over, but there's safety features that have been implemented. You are definitely more spaced out. So I feel that you would be more safer on the ship, but they're not saying anything about, theme parks. So that's where now if you are going to cancel and say, we're just going to postpone our trip, we're not going to do anything that week or that weekend, then that makes sense. But if you are considering canceling your trip to just do something else, then I say keep your cruise. So recently, mainstream media has been focusing on the number of cases on the cruise ships. But if you look at it, the percentages is all below like 1%. But what they're also not talking about, and I learned from watching Chris Wong vlogs, he's actually leaving right now, but he was a crew member on the Odyssey. So when that outbreak happened on Odyssey, he posted a video and I think it was 55 people. But I didn't even realize it because I didn't see it anywhere else, that most of the positive cases were crew. There were only a few passengers. I think it was 51 were crew and then there was 4 passengers. Now, if more came up, I'm not sure. But what I'm hearing, and I'm following other, the cruise news. I love La Lido Loca and Don's Family Vacation. So I follow them, obviously Royal Caribbean blog. So what I'm finding and I'm hearing that most of the positive cases are crew. And that's because they're tested constantly every 3 or 4 days. And a lot of the crew members aren't even sick. They're asymptomatic. And those crew members, they are in close quarters together. A lot of them, they room. I think there's 2 to a room. So obviously it's going to transmit faster among crew members, especially if they're asymptomatic. But they're only finding out people are positive because of their constant testing. So it's working. The testing is working because they're finding out these people are positive and then they're quarantining them for a certain amount of time. And so that's something to consider. But that's one of the things that mainstream media is not talking about. They're talking about the number, but it's not necessarily passengers. Now, I can't say for every ship. I don't know the specifics for every ship, but the ones that I've heard about and kind of done a little bit more research, I'm finding that it's mostly crew. It's not passengers, and the crew members are only finding out they're positive because of the constant testing. So here are a couple of reasons why I think maybe you should consider canceling. And first off, I personally would not fly to a port right now. We're also very fortunate. We are within driving distance. We're within an hour of 2 ports, and we are probably 3 and 4 hours from 2 other ports. So we have a lot of options where we can drive to a port. So it's not really a big deal for us. However, if I were flying, let's say to a Europe, cruise, which we have done in the past, or maybe to another location, I would not fly anywhere. And the main reason is my son would have to test at the port. And if he were to test positive, positive, we would not be able to come home because he would be positive. We would not be able to get back on a plane. So we would be not be able to go on a cruise, but then also kind of stuck in a town where we don't live. We would kind of have to figure out alternate plans. Whereas in this cruise, if he tests positive, it'll suck, but we just come home and, it is what it is. And we quarantine at home. We're within driving distance. So that's one thing where it's, if you are flying to a port, then I would weigh your options or at least have a backup plan. The next up is ports, and ports are getting missed for several reasons. Well, main reason right now is the ports aren't letting them in. If there's positive cases on board, there's a certain criteria that islands and the government are saying, no passengers can come in. It's happened with St. Thomas, a bunch of ports. I know Curacao, Aruba, denied a Odyssey and a Carnival ship. So a lot of the ships are missing their ports almost completely. And so that's a big something to consider. Now, for us, we love being on the ship. We love being on the ship. So that's something which probably wouldn't affect us. We choose our cruises based on the ship, at least for the Caribbean, than the actual ports. Now we're going to Europe, that would be something different. But right now with the Caribbean, for us, it's all about the ship. But if you are looking forward to go to Aruba or Curacao and you picked up certain itinerary because of those ports, just know that they might be missed and you might be denied entry, and you're not going to find out until you're on the ship, until the day of. So if missing a port is going to be a deal breaker for you, it might be a reason to cancel. Another thing is Coco Cay, that's been missed, or I think it was on maybe a day or two ago, the cruise, they weren't let off the ship until I think it was 1:45. The government said no, there was positive cases, and then they finally said yes, that they could come on, and it was at like 1:45 they finally got clearance to go onto the island, and that's a private island. MSC got completely denied going off their private island, and the government said no, there's too many cases on board, you can't dock, you can't port here. So you may even miss the private island. Again, Coco Cay, that is going to be a disappointment for us if we miss it. But again, it's not the reason why we go on the cruise. There's a lot to do on the freedom of the seas, so we will enjoy the ship. We weren't planning on getting off at Nassau anyway. The only downside is that there'll be more people on the ship if we miss Nassau. But other than that, I think you just have to weigh your options. Like, you may never get off the ship, but if you're going on a 7-night cruise, that could be an issue. For us, for a 3-night, really not an issue. So it's one of the reasons why we're still going. So one of the other things that's now getting canceled is entertainment. So entertainment is now starting to get canceled because with positive cases in crew, that's eventually going to involve the entertainment staff and the performers. So I've heard of some shows getting completely canceled, and if there's nobody to perform them, it makes sense. I know on the Disney Magic there is I think the Tangled show, I think one member of the cast was positive, so the entire cast had to quarantine. I would think that included canceling the show. I don't know for sure, but that's something to consider. So for us on Royal Caribbean, entertainment isn't important to us. We probably more care about, just kind of enjoying the ship, especially for such a short cruise of 3 nights. It's not going to be a big deal. We'll figure out something to do. But if it's a longer cruise, for example, our cruise in March where we're going on the Odyssey, that might be something we'll have to, reevaluate when that sailing comes closer. But for this one, really not a big deal. However, if we were going on a Disney cruise, then I think we might second guess that, because Disney cruise, the entertainment really is a big part of the cruise, and that's why you pay so much more money, is for that Disney entertainment. So if that Disney entertainment is canceled, you're really not getting your value out of it. So for us, for this cruise, it's not an issue. However, depending on whatever sailing, whatever cruise line you're on, is the entertainment important to you? And if it were canceled completely, would that be a deal breaker for you? Now, this next one is probably the hardest one and the one that we've had to give it a lot of thought, and it is Adventure Ocean. So Adventure Ocean, recently I've been following other individuals who have gone on Freedom of the Seas, and what is being reported is that they are 2-hour sessions. If you watch my vlog from July, they were 3-hour sessions, and you were able to book 3 sessions for the entire cruise. Well, now they've gone down to 2-hour sessions, and you can only book 1 the entire cruise. And then you can try and kind of do a standby or wait list or swing by to see if there's availability for other times throughout the sailing. So that was hard to take in. We've prepared our son. My son, that's where, if anywhere else, he would just rather be in the Adventure Ocean all day long. He's very excited because now he's 6. Now he can go into the older area where he couldn't go last time, so he's very excited. However, we've prepared him. You're probably not going to be able to be there very long. Our plan of attack is we will probably do the first session the first night, and then just try and take him whenever we can and see if there's space. And hopefully there will be space throughout the sailing. We will find out. And if he only gets to use it the first night, then that will help us reevaluate whether or not we sail in March. So this is probably the hardest one, and I think we're kind of taking it as we go. Again, if this were a longer sailing, then I think we would probably take a deeper look at it. But it's only a 3-night sailing. We're leaving on Friday. We're coming back Monday. So really it's only, Friday night, Saturday and Sunday. And then Saturday, hopefully we're at Coco Cay all day. So if we're at Coco Cay all day, we probably won't even need the kids club because we'll go there and then come back and take a nap. But otherwise, I think we're just going to see how it is. And depending on how it goes, will help us make our decision for our March trip. And finally, the most obvious reason is if you're concerned about COVID. I've talked about it in the past where we've never really been concerned about getting the virus. Our attitude always was, we're probably going to get it at some point, and we're going to do everything we can to not get it, but at some point we're going to get it. And we got vaccinated as soon as it became our turn to get vaccinated, and we got it as a family over the summer, probably about 3 months after we got our second dose of vaccine. So it is what it is. It was during that Delta surge, so everybody was getting it. It is what it is. It sucked. And I don't really talk about it on the channel because it's not something I want to focus on, but I do think the vaccine helped us, handle it. My son handled it the best, and he wasn't vaccinated because he was only 5. So do I want to get COVID again? No, I don't. But I'm also not afraid of getting it again. I probably will get it again at some point. That's just us. I think we're all in relatively good health, and so we're not afraid of getting it. We're not afraid of getting sick, but we will try and do everything to not get sick. With that said, if you are immunocompromised or you are in a high-risk category, then maybe you don't want to cruise right now. And I think that's understandable. I don't judge anybody to say, I don't want to go right now. I don't feel comfortable. And if you're going to feel uncomfortable on a cruise, then don't go. Push it back to when you feel comfortable. Hopefully you have a travel agent who can help you with that. But the cruise lines are working with passengers. They sent out an email last week basically saying, you may miss ports. Adventure Ocean may be limited, entertainment may be canceled, and if you want to cancel, give us a call. I mean, pretty much, it was a really long email, but that's pretty much what it said. They're working with passengers who don't feel comfortable for whatever reason. So for us, we're still going. It's a short little weekend trip. We are looking forward to it as a family, and honestly, it really wasn't that much money. So considering, we're going to see. Again, the one in March, we may evaluate. That's going to be a 6-night cruise, definitely much longer. So this one might help us decide whether or not we go. If it was like our cruise in July, we would absolutely go. However, a lot of things have changed. So I'm really curious to see the difference between the cruise I took in July and the cruise I'm taking now. It's both were holiday weekends, both on the same ship, and I expect it to be a very different experience. So I will come back and let you know what the differences were and whether I recommend cruising right now. So with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.